Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Members of the opposition slammed the government over what they term their failure to listen to consultation.
The minister responsible responds to concerns about mail shredding at the General Post Office.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. 7 years after the brutal murder of 11-year-old Marco Archer, whose body was discovered days after he went missing, tragedy struck that family once again. The body of Archer's older brother was found in Fort Fincastle last night. Police say the man was shot and killed. Jared Higgs reports.
Police eventually sent a press release to media, but not before word quickly spread that the victim, who our news understands is Rico Archer, is the brother of 11-year-old Marco Archer, whose brutal murder in 2011 shocked and angered the nation.
That's so sad. Two sons. Marco Archer. Yeah.
Wow. That statement sent by police didn't offer many details on the crime, only saying that officers responded to reports of gunshots fired and discovered the lifeless body of a male when they arrived on scene. Visiting the Archer home on Wednesday, family members didn't wish to speak to the press. However, a woman who identified herself as the sister of both Marco and Rico Archer confirmed that they are indeed brothers.
We know him from a little boy, and as far as we know, he's cool. He was no troublesome person.
Corey Pinder has been living in Fort Fincastle for more than 20 years and says he's known the older Archer for much of that time. He was shocked at last night's killing and says there are many things he may not have known about his childhood acquaintance.
I don't know. I felt bad about it. But being an old lady, I can't do nothing about it, But deep down my heart, it worried me. Because we have a lot of tourists here and then that'll make it bad on the Bahamas.
Archer's killing marks the 84th murder for the year. This time last year, there were 119 murders. Pointing to those numbers, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis told media last week that Bahamians no longer fear crime, while Acting Commissioner of Police Emric Seymour described the fear of crime as being minimized. However, taxi driver Vernon Brown, who regularly brings tourists to the Fort Fincastle area, disagrees.
Of course, I got kids right now, so I have to fear crime right now, and I don't want my kids growing up to know that, hey, they have to come in this environment to know if they want to make a living, but they want to make a living doing all the murder going on, So, and it is embarrassing to see that, this is one of our number one in the industry to know that this is what a taxi driver also do tours. This is one of our main options as up here by the Grand Staircase.
It's a nice area for tourists to be touring and coming through, but I feel like they'll be a little shaky.
86-year-old Ruth Ward lives just 2 houses down from where Archer's body was discovered. She says this isn't the first time her home has been near the scene of a violent killing.
I heard 4 bullets in my yard, and that was a teenager, 15 years old, who got killed under my window.
Ward was describing the shooting death of 15-year-old Anthony Smith, who was killed on October 17th of last year. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, the Minnis-led government getting a firm lashing in Parliament today from opposition members of Parliament who asserted the government's bull-in-a-China shop approach will be the F&M's undoing. Jasmine Brown was in Parliament for the fireworks and has all the drama in this report.
Those opposition members did not hold back as they went line by line, legislation by legislation, and incident by incident, highlighting what they call the government's missteps during this year in office.
It is beginning to look like something, and it ain't Christmas. It ain't Christmas. It ain't Christmas.
This administration has egg on your face, and you seek to clean it up before any real damage is done. And it's because you did not listen to the business community, like you didn't listen to the business community on VAT. Now you struggle to meet your projected targets.
Both opposition members pounded the government during debate on a bill for an act to amend the Business License Act. The amendment, which was passed before the House broke at 1, amends the Business License Act 2010 to reflect the state of the law prior to July 1, 2018. The amended regulations, which came into effect amid outcry over the VAT hike, had required companies with an annual turnover of $10 million or more to provide audited financial statements that will confirm their prior year earnings. Business owners had claimed the requirements were too burdensome. Both Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest patted themselves on the back for what they said was the government's move to increase the ease of doing business. However, Cooper asserted their backtracking on the bill showed the government was wayward and stubborn when it comes to proper consultation.
Some might find that strange, however, I don't. One would think one would get tired of telling this government, I told you so. But one does not. Because again, I did tell you. And again, you did not listen.
Cooper insisted this was also the case with the gaming tax and more recently the Non-Profit Organizations Bill 2018.
Stop meandering, wasting more and more of the people's time, going back on things that should have never done, that you ought to have known better before, and you would have known better had you consulted. So yeah, we support the bill. We do. If you find your good sense and you want to reverse Oban, we'll support that too. Yes, if you find your good conscience and you want to roll back this new VAT rate, we will support that amendment too. Yes, it was also ill-conceived, and it's inflicting untold pain and suffering on the Bahamian people. If you decide to do something good for the poor and the middle class, we'll support you in that as well.
The heated debate escalated after a shouting match between MPs erupted during Elizabeth MP Dr. Dwayne Sands' communication, as the opposition MPs insisted Sands, who was Minister of Health, should not be lecturing them on financial matters. That prompted a quick intervention by House Speaker Halson Mutri, who fired off this warning to Roche's MPs.
Honourable member for Elizabeth.
This is a Melbourne House. The speaker's on the street, gentlemen.
As we approach this Christmas recess, honourable members, I would not want to invoke Rule 88 on any of you before we go into 2019. Now, the member is on his feet, and if you don't want to eat what you are serving, then I want you to desist.
But the opposition's lashing of the government continued during Hannah Martin's contribution.
It is the arrogance of this administration that has us where we are today and has us where we have been repeatedly, where they have sought in dogmatic fashion to force down the throats of the Bahamian people measures which they've now had to come back and backtrack on. Today is the day of backtracking.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Well, Englishton MP Glenys Hannah Martin calling out her male counterparts in Parliament, insisting they should not expect women in politics to be meek and mild.
I want to belabor that point, though, because if there's a view that women are supposed to sit in here and serve tea, I'm not in here to serve tea, Mr. Speaker. I am elected by the men and women, the people of Englishton, and they want me to fight for what they are concerned about, not to sit in here and to have some polite conversation, which I don't mind, but if it's not appropriate, it won't be happening.
Her comments came in the midst of a back and forth with Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest over the country's finances. In his comments, Turnquest indicated Hannah Martin was being overly aggressive, and the outspoken MP insisted just because she is a woman doesn't mean she cannot fire back.
I'm going to sensitize the members of this House, particularly the men, to be very careful with your language when you are confronted by women in this Parliament who express themselves in a strong manner. So, and I invite you to be young. You see, and here they are now. Here we have tall pines now, Mr. Speaker. Tall pines in the back here, not understanding the issue. I hope the women of Tall Pines are listening. The men of this Parliament need to be sensitized. In other parliaments, you would never get away with that.
Well, an investigation has been launched into claims that the mail at the General Post Office is being shredded. Gillian Gray reports.
We want clarity. We want clarity. We want the facts. We want the facts, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, and the member for Bamboo Town who's not saying anything, and he's the smart one in the room right now. No, but you're the smart one in the room. Yes, and I hope that what you are saying, that you will carry out an investigation into the matter, because it's a serious matter.
Angleton MP Glenys Hannah Martin sought answers in Parliament on reports that mail at the General Post Office was allegedly being shredded. That's when Minister responsible for the post office, Renward Wells, revealed that officials will investigate the matter.
As Minister, I'm drilling down into that. The Ministry will be making a statement very soon, so we'll be passing it out to the media, hopefully by the end of the day, on the situation. I can't speak to the claims made by the union and others. But the Ministry will be putting out a formal statement.
This comes just one day after it was reported that a private company had been contracted to shred mail at the GPO. Though he claimed to have very little details, Wells said he knows that there are procedures in place to discard mail.
There is a process by which mail is discarded. And you would see that the former minister, also while she was on the floor of the House, spoke to an issue about mail going to the family islands without addresses, quote unquote. So there is a process by which this takes place. I am being advised as to what that specific process is.
It's unclear how old that mail is, and the minister said he could not confirm if persons were given notice. He added that if the process is being carried out, he's certain that it would not include important documents.
The very assertion that members would be shredding important mail is concerning, because I do not believe that that speaks to the character of the workers in the post office that I have seen.
And if this found to be true?
Well, at the end of the day, the government of the Bahamas has certain positions. There are certain rules and regulations under which you work, and we will have to respond in the manner that is both befitting of a responsive and a responsible government.
The minister described post office workers as hardworking and commended them for working in extremely difficult circumstances to reduce the backlog of mail, which he says has been significantly reduced.
I don't know if I would use the term insurmountable, but the backlog was extreme, as we all know, excessively extreme. And as I said, I'd like to commend the postal workers who have been working extremely hard under difficult circumstances to alleviate that situation.
Now again, the minister said the investigation into mail shredding at the General Post Office will be complete before staff members move to their new location at Town Centre Mall in January. Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks, Jillian. Well, members of Parliament had voted against a motion to have opposition question time. This after the issue was raised by Centreville MP Reese Chipman.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to find out in accordance with Section 39(2) of the Rules Book, and this being the second Wednesday in the month, are we following, which order of business are we following?
The opposition MPs, Chipman and his fellow F&M MP for Pine Ridge, Frederick McAlpine, voted against the motion that would not place opposition questions on the agenda. Following the vote, House Speaker Housen Moultrie tabled opposition leader Philip Davis's November 26th letter to him on the issue in addition to the Speaker's written response dated November 30th. He indicated he planned on invoking opposition question time at the first sitting of every month.
I don't want it to be said that the chair is being biased in any way, when in fact the chair is trying to simply function in accordance with the rules. And since this issue of the rules that we have been burdened with for some time now.
Well, the Bahamas Telecommunications Company has paid a fine of $102,000 in compliance with an order handed down by the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority. Following what officials call a comprehensive investigation, IRCA said it found that on November 24th and 25th, 2017, BTC failed to comply with the requirements of the rules and regulations relating to mobile number portability. This caused unacceptable delays to 514 customers seeking to port their telephone numbers to Alive. IRCA ordered BTC to pay $51,400 of that fine to compensate the affected subscribers for the delay caused by BTC's breaches. The balance of the fine was paid directly to IRCA. A $100 credit is expected to be applied to affected consumers' accounts today. Still to come on our news, the Chamber of Commerce appoints a new CEO, plus how you can help the Salvation Army. Stay tuned.